Resident Evil is a horror franchise that has been around for more than 2 decades, so that there is always something about Resident Evil when it comes to horror. 1996. The first Resident Evil was announced. The story was around a couple of STARS members. It happened in a mansion which was crowded with terror and secrets. This is where Resident Evil starts, a successful horror franchise that is reputed for a handful of things. 1. The place that the game is taking place in, like the mansion, Raccoon Police Department, Raccoon City itself, and Rockford Island. 2. Horror in addition to a sense of claustrophobia, where you don't know what to expect past the front door or the next corridor. 3. Strategic item management, whether it is limited item or expandable weapon case. 4. Slow-paced gameplay plus a lot of going back and forth. 5. Creative puzzles. And finally, one of the most, if not the most, important aspect, music. A combination of all these together, plus a well-polished character design and storytelling, is what makes Resident Evil Resident Evil. So far we've had so many Resident Evils, some following the same old algorithm and some leaning towards action and some forgetting what Resident Evil was generally about and throwing the horror out of the window. I'm a Raccoon City survivor, and here is how Resident Evil 7 saved Resident Evil.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna take you for a ride. No!
Dulvey, Louisiana. The game starts in a scene where it shows Ethan Winters driving into an abandoned house somewhere located in Dulvey, Louisiana. He parks his car right in front of the house's gate. Ethan had some recent reports on his missing wife, Mia Winters, who also seems to haven't been heard of for 3 years. Ethan is hoping to find his wife in this ever-expanding mansion. Ethan's goal is simple, but as he moves on, he uncovers the secret behind this house. Baker family. The house that Mia is held captive in belongs to Bakers, a family of 4 members who are acting weirdly and they are trying to kill Ethan at any moment. The family consists of a married couple, Jack and Marguerite, and 2 adult children, Lucas and Zoe. They are all trying to convince Ethan to accept a gift from whom they are all infected by. Everyone except Zoe. Zoe Bakers is an adult who's been living in Baker's residence who is also infected. She is trying to leave the house, but she cannot. Therefore, she tries contacting Ethan through the telephones located in the house several times in the game. Zoe helps Ethan find the ingredients for making the vaccine to cure the infection. Evelyn is the main antagonist here. The impact of her actions goes onward even to Resident Evil Village. Evelyn is a genetically modified human conceived by the Connections. She was designed so that she could eliminate enemies without the need for combat, a next-generation bioorganic weapon. She appears as 2 forms, old and young, and that is because of her superhuman abilities. Evelyn is developed by Miranda using a sample of mold and a sample of DNA from Miranda's daughter, Eva. Ghost Hunters. Along Ethan, a group consisting of 3 members are here as well, trying to make a documentary of the Baker's residence. Their story is told in a very clever and unique way. Ethan will find several tapes around the house, one being what Clancy, the cameraman, has been recording. You can follow their story even more by playing the DLCs. A new chapter. Resident Evil is known for taking risks once in a while, and to me, that's the reason why they could keep it up to these days. Injecting more action in addition to changing the camera angle plus real-time rendered cutscenes and backgrounds is all made Resident Evil 4 stand out. They tried recapturing their victory by releasing Resident Evil 5, but they used the same formula and injected more action. Despite it going too far from what Resident Evil was meant to be, it sold pretty well actually. Resident Evil 5 was the first Resident Evil that I played, and it instantly made me follow Resident Evil even more. Cause when I saw Wesker, Jill, Chris, and Spencer, I knew none of them and nothing about them. And that's why I'm saying it is not a bad game. It is just Resident Evil characters in a game that is throwing away what Resident Evil meant to be. And finally, in 2012, the downfall started. I remember I was so freaking hyped for Resident Evil 6. Just by seeing the trailers and advertisements, I could not wait to get my hands on a copy of Resident Evil 6. I'm not gonna lie, the game was great and in fact enjoyable, but the problem is they thought RE does not fit the horror community, so they wanted to attract new players to the franchise by sacrificing what was meant to be the ultimate Resident Evil. They wanted to please everyone by implementing 4 campaigns, each one resembling one side of the Resident Evil franchise. Leon, the same zombie killing wipe from Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 4 plus more action. Chris, a Call of Duty / Gears of War Resident Evil. Jake, a new character in addition to a new stalker enemy, Ustanak. Ada, a solo campaign maintaining Leon's horror vibe plus some elementary level puzzles. There is just no way you could do all these in one Resident Evil, and the problem is Resident Evil 6 took it so seriously. In Resident Evil 6, the goal was to save the world, which is too much for Resident Evil, and that is what ruined Resident Evil 6. They took the same approach with Resident Evil Vendetta, which made it look ridiculous to be honest, especially at the final moments. Reach for the Moon. Capcom announces a new Resident Evil, a fresh approach, something different from what previous Resident Evils were trying to be. They wanted the new game to be the Resident Evil with the least development time, least crew members, and no delay. Therefore, they needed a studio for photogrammetry, which is to take several photos from different angles from an object and merge them all together to make a photorealistic 3D model. Every asset used in Resident Evil 7 is so real, and that's because they were all 3D rendered with photogrammetry, and that's why it has the most assets used among all Resident Evil games, because they didn't need to make them from scratch. They started developing the first versions of Resident Evil 7 in Unity so that another team could work on an engine, Reach for the Moon engine, an engine that is capable of all these sharp and realistic looking assets. Finally, after a year of developing in Unity, they switched on to the fresh Reach for the Moon engine, something different than the previous engines used to develop Resident Evil games, empty framework. And that's why we have so many great and high quality Resident Evils in such a short time. Resident Evil 7, Resident Evil 2 and 3 Remake, and Resident Evil Village. Point of view. Previous Resident Evil games, especially Resident Evil 5 and Resident Evil 6, went too far on the action segment. So far that the result was not capable of scaring anyone, maybe at the first playthrough, but not the second and on. So, the new Resident Evil had to be scary and realistic simultaneously, so they decided to do it in first-person view. They took a really risky approach here, just like what they did with Resident Evil 4, and that's why it became so controversial and famous really fast. PlayStation later on announced their first VR headset, something that developers had in mind at first place, but they were at mid-production level, so they had a hard time implementing VR capability into the game. And just to check the results and players' impression, they made a VR demo. The Kitchen, a demo where you see as Clancy and you're stuck with a member of Ghost Hunters. Mia finally comes out of nowhere and kills everyone. The demo was great, and the feedback they got made them sure that they are on the right path. Old Resident Evil elements. They for sure learned from their past mistakes, cause the game was relying a lot on old Resident Evil elements such as colored health bar, green, light green, yellow and red to indicate your health status on your watch, limited ammo and weapons, plus the sense of being stuck in this house and going back and forth to solve puzzles, plus knowing that Jack Baker is always looking for you. One other thing here were the molds instead of zombies. Now we have these creatures that attack you and will force you to waste your precious ammo and supplies on them. The game is now slow-paced, just like old Resident Evils, not like the run-and-gun style of Resident Evil 6. I mean, come on, what the hell is this? Let's now take a look at music. All Resident Evils rely on music a lot, and they all have that relaxing music in common when you are in a safe spot. All of them except you guessed it. Well, Resident Evil 7 has one of the best, if not the best, save room music in the whole franchise. I mean, just listen to it. It feels comforting, but also suspicious at the same time, knowing that you are safe, but not for a long time. You know what I'm saying. To be honest, I always play the 1 hour extended version of it when I'm doing my videos. Resident Evil also pays a lot of attention into creating unique puzzles to keep the player occupied. And the same goes on here, Resident Evil 2 and 3 Remake and Resident Evil Village. Resident Evil 7 has the best puzzle in the whole franchise in my opinion. And we can for sure discuss about the best puzzles in the comments. This puzzle was the best puzzle that I have ever seen in a video game. Because at the first place, you've got to watch the mistakes of the victim on a tape, then do it yourself, avoiding the mistakes they have made. Overall, Resident Evil 7 is making good use of the videotapes, to be honest. Stalker role. Resident Evil 7 introduced us to a new way that Capcom was trying to inject horror through these stalker roles. Jack Baker is the first stalker enemy who wanders in the house to find you, and you won't be able to kill him, but to slow him down. He never goes down unless killed in a boss fight segment. He reappears in the last moments when you find Zoe and Mia and try to, create the vaccine. Horror/action. At first, Resident Evil 7 scares the hell out of the players, but as you progress, especially after you kill Marguerite, you notice that the game is leaning towards action, especially in the ship segment, cause you will only have to deal with the molds and the game will also give you an automatic gun, which obviously makes the game more comforting and less scary. I think all horror games should avoid automatic weapons as much as they possibly can, cause let's be honest, one of the main elements that made Resident Evil 5, especially Resident Evil 6, less scary was the variety of playable weapons that the game provided you with. Come on, is that a Call of Duty or what? Luckily, it's not like Resident Evil 6 here. You have 2 models of handgun, 2 models of shotgun, a pocket knife, grenade launcher, and a flamethrower, plus submachine gun at the end, and also mines and a magnum, or Desert Eagle somehow. They are all single-shot weapons, and will definitely take time to shoot the next round or just reload it, so it is gonna make you terrified when you're in a difficult boss fight. So that'll do it for today's video. Make sure to comment down your ideas about the topic that I just mentioned earlier. Do you think the molds were necessary to be in Resident Evil 7 or not? Anyway, if you have come so far and enjoyed this video, please give this video a thumbs up. This video took me quite the effort to create, and it'll just take you a couple of seconds to hit that subscribe button. And yeah, don't forget to hit the bell icon as well to not miss the fresh videos. If you're new here and enjoy Resident Evil content, then make sure to check my channel out, because I know you're gonna love the content. And as always, thanks for watching.